What is up, guys and gals? Gals and guys, Space Unicorn here, and today I have a very special video for you guys. Today, we are going to review every version of FRAG Pro Shooter that has come out. Now, a couple nuances to this for you guys. I'm going to be covering majority updates where new characters came out. I have been around since version 1.0.0 for reference. I am the longest tenured player still playing FRAG Pro Shooter. And so I have a lot of insight into what goes on here. We'll cover what happened in these updates and how they score throughout as like an overall basis. With that being said, the first version we're going to use is 1.0.0. This is whenever we had the closed beta opened up for FRAG Pro Shooter. And we're going to use this as a baseline. What that means is this will be rated at a B. It has to be better than this version to move up or down. And for reference, version 1.0, the meta was very, very simple. It was Frost, Lucha, and build around those two. There was only like 21 characters at this time. So, with that being said, let's get this video started. Oh, and by the way, I'll have some gameplay footage going on for you on the right-hand side for you guys to enjoy as well. Thank you, and enjoy. So, version 1.0.1, the first one we're actually going to score, and it's going to get a B, and I'll tell you why. Version 1.0.1 really wasn't much for a TLC change. It was, let's just try to get our UI to run a little better, because this had a lot of bugs, but it really didn't change much from version 1.0.0, so we have it at a B. Favorite character for everybody to play was Jet. She was the most fun. The strongest were Dr. Frost and Lucha Muerta for reference. So let's move into the next update here. Alright, version 1.0.2. This is whenever they opened up the beta to a bunch of new countries and opened it up to people that were not registered for the closed beta, such as myself. This brought a lot of issues for the UI in the game and constant crashing, lots of lag, unfortunately. So we're going to have to drop this down to a C tier for this update. Version 1.0.4. This was a lot of goofing around from the devs and the player base. We were all trying weird lineups, like all defensive decks, all attack decks, girl power decks, all these random alignments to just kind of make content. And this time, my first frag video that I did came out in this version. If you guys would like a link to that, I will, or me to upload that, I'll gladly do that for you guys. But honestly, the bugs were still present, so it's still a C tier update for me. All right, version 1.0.5, our first new character since the launch. This is Medusa's launch. By the way, she used to hold her staff. The old way she held her staff, the parallel instead of the vertical, was so much better than they do it now. If you guys want a video to that, I have that. But anyways, this update came with some user interface improvements. Games became slightly less laggy. They were still crashing, but the new character kind of brought everybody back around to the hype that was building for FRAG Pro Shooter at this time. So I give this update a B tier. Alrighty, 1.0.8. This brought us our first truly broken character to FRAG Pro Shooter, but it did come with some buffs and nerfs that were pretty good. Frost here got buffed to the max, and I still will argue with anybody that this was the strongest card FRAG had ever had. At level 9, he had almost complete slowdowns, like 0.75%. It was ridiculous. You would be crawling. He had burn damage, he had impact damage, and his primary weapon was his ultimate ability, was a medium range attack projectile that could one-shot even the tankiest characters such as Lucha Muerta. By the way, that Lucha had a lot more health than the one we have now. Honestly, some UI changes here were good. I'm gonna give it a B tier. 1.0.9 was a very good update for FRAG Pro Shooter. This was an A tier update. They came out with, and I mean, whenever I say character changes, they came out with like 7 or 8 different character buffs and nerfs that went on. They came out with improved gameplay, respawn timer changes, health pack timer changes, all these different UI management systems that are being used in the game. And this is also where we got sound effects in FRAG Pro Shooter. So something very cool to consider. This update was a very good update. Meta still had Frost and Lucha, but you had a lot of options for the other 3 characters in the game. Version 1.1, this one I was torn between A and B tier. I'm going to give it a B, and I'll explain why. But this update had a lot more buffs and nerfs, really kind of getting the meta to where if you had Lucha and Frost, you could use anybody else for the other 3, and they were playable. Lucha and Frost still being the strongest, though. With that being said, this came with underpass edits for the map, only map we had at the time. some optimization. It also opened servers in the North America, Central, and Asia areas, which enabled matchmaking to be a little smoother. It did create a lot of bugs early on, which is why I have this one at a B. All right, version 1.1.3. I know we skipped a few updates there. It was a lot of UI stuff, so I didn't want to hit on them too much. 1.1.3 gave us 3 new characters, a new user interface, and added a couple other regions to the mapping. We got open beta then for Canada and England in this update, which was very interesting. But overall, this was a very solid update for FRAG Pro Shooter. The bugs were still present, but were slowly improving. Version 1.1.8 was very interesting. There was some changes to the UI again, and Lucha Muerta got a minor nerf. They also opened up a bunch of new regions for servers, Australia, Denmark, Germany, so on and so forth, which added more players but created some bugs. But overall, this was a good balancing for the game. I'm going to give it an A tier. Version 1.1.9. This one opened up more regions for FRAG Pro Shooter. It was also the first time the community got to vote on the upcoming character releases for FRAG, which is why I included this on the list. Honestly, a pretty solid update. Some good UI changes here. There was a glitch where units weren't listening to attack or defend, which they took care of in this update as well. So A tier for that one. All right, version 1.2. This is the update where we voted on the characters and ended up selecting Inferno to be the next new character added to FRAG Pro Shooter. Honestly, a very solid update. Some minor changes to the way the game performed, but everything was still pretty steady from the last few updates, so it's an A tier for me on this one. All right, 1.2.4. This update brought us 3 new characters, Prisoner 99, Cyber Cop, and Scout and Nutty. But it brought the new curse of laggy matches again. Couldn't connect and stabilize in matches, but the new characters kind of kept people involved. So I'm going to say B tier on this one, but barely. This could be a C tier as well. All right, FRAG update 1.2.5. This is where FRAG started to struggle. First of all, they nerfed a bunch of people. They took out Lucha really hard, Dr. Frost, Genghis, all these characters they had buffed just a couple updates before, and they super buffed Pocahunter. They took her to be from nothing to being, I'd say, the second most broken character FRAG's ever seen. The UI bugged out like crazy, couldn't stay in matches with the real players. Trophy system was jank. You were getting 1 trophy for a win, you were losing 30 for a loss. It was bad. Unfortunately, I have to give this one the lowest tier possible. Alrighty, let's just get it over with on this one, guys. Update 1.2.6. This was an attempt at a good update that went really bad. This is, I think, the worst FRAG has ever had in an update. The AIs, the orders, commands that you give the AIs, completely broken. Piggy bank feature was added to get gems, spend all this money. AI behavior was supposed to be improved. The defensive units would not defend the bunkers. They'd stand on top and try to shoot through the roof. Everything here went wrong. And on top of it, they then nerfed, I think it was 15 to 20 characters into the dirt. There was nothing really good going on here, minus Desperados, but he was super broken. So it was him and Polka, and there was nothing else. You had 2 characters you played. It was Polka and Desper, and that was it. There was no other character that you wanted to touch with your personal controls. Alrighty, update 1.2.7. We got 2 new characters in this one. It was Virus and Smoker. Neither of them could be played. They were not meta, not even slightly. I had just won an official tournament, which was cool. Polka still ridiculously broken, and the game was crazy laggy. The new characters brought a little life back into the game, so I'm going to put this at a C tier, but this was a really miserable experience in this area. Alright, FRAG version 1.2.9. There were some buffs and nerfs in this one. No major changes. There was a minor nerf to Polka, but her and Desper were really all you ran. Everything else was horrible. There was some quality of life improvements here, but the game kind of took a turn for pay to win in this one, unfortunately. So I am going to have to give it a C tier again. 1.3.0. Okay, this version of Frag tried to claw it back a little bit, and it's going to be a B tier for me, but characters were still incredibly broken, Desper Polka in very bad places, everything else useless, but they did improve the matchmaking drastically, and it was a new season, so people had hope at this point again, so B tier. Alright, version 1.3.1. This was almost a really good update. They came out with some major network fixes in this game, which put it at a solid B, and it would have been A tier if Polka would have been nerfed at this point. She was still going strong though, was a 15 movement speed and like a 7 or 8 when firing. It was ridiculous. But this is still a good update for FRAG Pro Shooter. It really helped the quality of life in the game. Alrighty guys, update 1.3.3. This was a good update. We got a nerf on Desperados. We saw the first of the nerfs on Polka Hunter. We saw some major UI changes which helped out the game in a great way. This was a very solid update. It was very close to being balanced for the characters that were currently in the game. So good update, A tier on this one for sure. Alright, 1.3.4, and this is the last one we're going to do today. There will be a part 2 and a part 3 to this series. There's just so many updates. We got our major buff to Polka Hunter, finally. She had been running rampant for so many updates, it just wasn't okay. We got some good balances for characters like JB, Virus, Eagle Eye, and Longshot, which helped. Quetzal had a good little buff here as well. The gameplay had been improved overall, but there was still a major issue. Trophy system was very broken, and the DCs were back. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this today. This is kind of the glimpse into what's going on here. We have 2 more videos coming out on this series. I'm going to cover every major Frag update, and I'm going to tell you in the end what the best one is that I've seen. But as you can see here on the board, those are the best that we had up to this point in FRAG Pro Shooter. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one.